Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Adrian here with Dom and Andrea again from LightShare. Welcome to this new episode in which we wanted to discuss this thing where people believe in how the tool makes you better somehow, which is not usually the case, and we call it shiny toys, right? So it's this thing where people kind of want that one because it's cooler, and I want that brush back, and I want this other cintiq or whatever the device might be, right? What are your guys' opinion on this? What do you think?
It's like what brushes do you use syndrome, right? Like that's
Yeah,
the symptom of it.
I I know there's like a lot of really cool tech nowadays. A lot of different tablet companies are competing with each other, right? Like Wacom, XP Pen. Uh, what else is out there? iPad. So people are trying to find out which is the best way to be comfortable while painting and drawing. But I think it all just comes down to the person. Like what do you prefer, drawing on the screen or drawing while looking at the screen? So what do you guys think?
Yeah, and also like not only what do you prefer at the exact moment where you're drawing, but like what do you want to extract out of it? Because if you are looking for a tool that will actually make the work for you, I mean, I know we are in the land of AI right now, right? Like where technically, in a sense, the tool does make part of the work for you, but the reality is that the more the tool does, the less it is you that is deciding what's happening, right? And trying to understand that balance, like when it comes to digital tools, right? So if you're talking about brushes, like how much do you want to use the brush, and how much do you want to leave like the texture of the brush decide what's going on? Or if you're talking about generative tools like AI stuff, like how much is you deciding and how much is the tool deciding? And then we can talk about the actual like physical tools. So I think that's more related to the outcome that you want to take. So as an example, if I want the pencil look, I find it so weird that people want like brushes that look like pencil on digital, because if you want the perfect pencil look, you can buy a $2 pencil and sketch on paper, and guess what? It will look like pencil. Yeah, like
Yeah.
if you want that marker look, you can
I
use a
think it's one
marker.
of, yeah, but like you want to keep it
It's like
all
the
in like
synthetic
one,
quality. Yeah.
everything in one
Or the,
place,
mhm,
right? Like, no, I want to
that's
go
true.
fully digital while still maintaining some of those traditional feeling kind of things to it. So I guess that's what leads you down that path. But it kind of shocks me, because I think at this point, I feel like I can explain a little bit of this because of my own personal experience, right? And I mean, Dom, you've been asked a lot of times, like, hey, Dom, what tablet do you use? Or people freak out when Dom does like this and shows his dinosaur intuos from like 15 years ago,
1995.
What? No way. I thought you were using some cintiq or something, some modern kind of tool, right?
Yeah.
Not the case.
Or even like Photoshop itself. They're super amazed. It's like, oh, you're using CS5. I thought you're using like the latest CC or something. We can talk about software too, how the software doesn't always matter
Why not using the
most
latest
of the
tool,
time.
bro, with the latest features and the all this beautiful range of amazing things that the newer programs have to offer?
It does have
Well,
its benefits, but it's like you can still make a pretty picture in MS Paint. It's
you
how
probably stick to
you
what works for
go about
you.
it. Yeah.
So, yeah, and
Yeah, I think a lot of the result is also like practice with the tool. So like if you keep hopping from one to the other, um, like when I see Dom painting, like I think he has such a mastery of the way that he uses Photoshop, right? That it kind of like became more integrated with him.
he's
The
blushing.
same way that
Look at him.
you see, like remember Kim Jong Ji when he was painting with when he was drawing with like brush pens.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever did, like drew with that, but it's pretty hard to control the lines, right?
I tried,
Like
yeah.
you have
I've
to
always
have a
wondered
good sensitivity.
how do they do the fine lines kind of thing? It's like it looks so tricky.
Yeah, I mean, I've been practicing that, and let me tell you, it's very tricky. But the thing is, like, as with everything, it's time, right? So, like,
Yeah.
it's how much time you put into that particular skill set. And if you keep hopping, like, oh, from one tool to the other and to the next one, and like always thinking that's the next best thing that will make your art actually successful,
You're
then you
wrong.
also are, yeah, you're shooting yourself in the foot because you don't get enough practice with any one particular tool.
Yeah.
So try to strike a balance, I guess, between like trying different things to see what you like the best, but also understanding that only time will make things look good, no matter what software, what brush pen, what tablet you
It
use,
all
right?
goes back to what shoes do you use? What's the best running shoe to wear
Yeah.
on a run?
Which time of the
What's the
day is
best kind of
better?
workout? Yeah. And goes to show, like, you can go barefoot and still run like 8 miles, you know, if you choose to, if you practice with it. Yeah, you'll get scuffed up a lot, but over time it gets better and better when you practice it
Man,
more.
running barefoot is a whole different story, man. It's fucking dope. But yeah, I'm trying not to get derailed here in the conversation. So coming back to the main point, which is like why people expect those new shiny toys to deliver those better results somehow. When, well, maybe number one, they're more modern, more, they perform better. At least that's what you would expect, right, from a newer machine. But I think it also has to do with what you said about like having a bigger screen or like having this other different type of input. Um, for example, let's think of how I really believed that I needed an iPad. I needed an iPad because I really want to steer away from my computer, just go outside, paint outside, be in the park, at the restaurant, or anywhere, and just sketch and stuff. How many times do you think you're going to do that, realistically speaking? Do you think it's worth the $1,300 that's worth? The whole device, with the pen and everything. I think that's what cost me back in 2018. So I'm not regretting buying the iPad necessarily because it's really helped me figure out some ideas that could have only happened with the iPad. But what I'm saying is that I'm not using it as much as I thought I was going to use it. So I totally respect that some people have made it into their main work station, and
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. If that works for you, great. I'm just relating my story here, where I thought that was going to be it, and it wasn't. Same story happened with the cintiq. I've always wanted a cintiq. I don't use it anymore now. I went back to the how old is this? Like 10 years old. The good old intuos,
Yeah. Same here.
And I think Andre has some nice things to say about that too, because we've been talking these days, and he kind of went back as well to the same thing.
Yeah,
It's a matter of comfort.
I think that so like as you know, like I really like to draw more than I like to paint, and that's how like I learn it, how to design and how to do the things that I do. So to me, there was always this disconnect between like, oh, I'm drawing like on the tablet, and then when I'm drawing on paper, which is where I learned, I was actually looking at the drawing and all of that. And for the longest time, I wanted a cintiq, right? I remember talking to you when you were using it still, and to
Yeah.
me, it was like a very big goal to get one. First of all, because if you get one, it's also a milestone, right? Like, oh, I can afford with the money that I made from art this really expensive thing, which might make you think that it's a professional kind of like achievement.
Yeah, you feel like you're being
So
taken
that
more seriously, like you feel like a professional
yeah,
now.
there's that side, right? Like there's that side of like, oh, now I'm actually making it,
Yeah.
right? Now I made it. But then, so I started drawing on the cintiq, and being perfectly honest, at first I was like way faster drawing on the cintiq than I was drawing on the tablet.
I mean, it's really good
And
for
I did
drawing
not, oh, but I
because of
did not
that.
realize the reason why.
But is that
right?
very precisely is that thing you said? Like you're actually looking where you're actually
Oh,
drawing, where your pen
you
is,
know,
right?
I don't think that
Like on
was the
paper.
reason. I think the reason why is because when I was drawing, I didn't notice that until I went like back and forth between both of them, and I did that twice already. Like I was drawing on the intuos, and then I took the cintiq, and then I changed it back to the intuos because it was more comfortable for like 3D, and my shoulders were in a better position, so like it was just better overall for my posture. And then a couple of months ago, I put again the cintiq back on my table to try and because it's kind of like a shame, right? You have this super expensive screen, so doesn't make
It's
too much
really
sense.
crazy, bro. I don't know
And
which one you
that's
have,
when
but I have the 27-inch one, and I mean it gets quite. I don't want to make it feel like I'm complaining, but it's really different when you have to cross the entire screen with your arm
yeah,
just to click on something
I
here and
destroyed
then here.
myself
Yeah, you're more used to
with
the
the
little wrist moves here on the
yeah.
desk, you know?
yeah.
Same
But
story
yeah,
with the
that's the thing.
mouse.
I ended up like going back and forth a couple of times, but the reason why is because the again, like I think the cost to benefit, and cost meaning the physical cost of keeping up like the arm raised up, dragging it across, and all that.
Yeah.
I started having some shoulder issues, and I'm not saying it's because of that. It's probably like a bunch of reasons, but that was definitely like one of the factors that made that happen. And then when I went back to the Intuos, I realized that the reason why I was actually faster drawing on the tablet on the cintiq is because when I was on the Intuos before, I was kind of like zooming in a lot. I was somehow thinking that I needed to be like way more precise. And then because on the cintiq, your eye is kind of like the zoom, right? You can get
Dude,
closer and back.
that's what made the videos I was recording of my process and stuff, it made it so uncomfortable for the audience because they would see this tiny little thing in the middle of the screen. But to me,
Yeah,
it looked good because the screen was like this close, was this big. So I saw the full picture very well on screen. I didn't need full frame, you know? But
Mm.
if you're recording it, then it looks like this tiny on the screen. So that's precisely what you're talking about here. Like you don't need
yeah.
to zoom in as much.
Yeah.
But then what happened is that when I went back and I
Oh
noticed that,
shit.
wait,
You're cutting out. Seriously, yeah,
Connection.
yeah. You're kind of losing frames and like robotic voice a little bit.
is it
You
back?
nope. You can try to rejoin the call maybe, in case it
Well,
fixes
we'll
it.
Okay.
continue the conversation a little
Mhm.
bit.
I mean, it's only gonna take a second. That was good.
Is it better now?
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, sorry about that. But anyways, like the reason why is because when I went back to the intos, I was using the like no zoom approach as well. So I was not focusing on like, oh, this pixel needs to touch exactly on the same point. And that
Yeah.
was what was slowing me down. So
I,
sometimes it's not the tool, right? It's the way that you use it.
I
I think
noticed
that's the
that's what
tendency
Dom does. He
with
never zooms in too much.
I just keep it
So
kind of like this
yeah,
far.
respect, because
But
that's really hard
I
to
mean,
do. You know,
I used to make that mistake as well in the beginning, right? Where younger artists, they'll try to paint every pixel. They'll zoom in like this on the iPad
the details, the
and try to
details.
get the little thing. But yeah, I used to do that a lot. And what happened is that when I zoomed out, my composition looked completely off. So as I zoomed out more when I painted, my composition started improving. And that's when I realized like you have to see the bigger picture while you're creating a piece instead of focusing on those minuscule details, because one side of the piece will be, you know, more detailed than the other if you can't catch it straight away. So that's why painting far away helps. But in the past, I used to have the Cintiq Companion, if you guys remember that.
Oh
And that
wow,
thing
it's been a
that
while.
destroyed my neck back here. Because I would
Dude,
just
the posture, right? It
I
changes
just look down
everything.
like this. You know?
It's very different.
It weighs on your this part right here.
Yeah.
So I switched back to like my Intuos tablet, and then after Actually, I had the bamboo tablet, but then that broke, and then I upgraded to the intuos, which is literally like the size of my hand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, imagine
it's
kids nowadays listening. You call that an upgrade?
I mean,
they're actually shocked, but it's
it's
really not that impressive, honestly.
the posture thing is
It's
what I remember as well, because with the Cintiq I was pretty comfortable, except for the fact that there's no way to fit your keyboard around it, because that's the thing, right?
that too.
I work
Yeah.
with both my hands. One is on the stylus, one's on the keyboard, and I really got used to working with the shortcuts and everything on every program, right? Which is why working with the iPad alone felt so weird, because it's like there's nothing to do with the other hand is just sitting on the desk or whatever you're painting, maybe in bed, maybe in the bathroom. I don't know. It's just up to you, which is, by the way, another point I wanted to bring up, because comfort, right? Like your posture and stuff. What did you expect out of it when you're thinking, oh, I'm going to take my iPad outside at the park or something? Okay, now you're sitting on a bench, or maybe you're on the floor, in the grass or something. It's like always trying to figure out, at least in my experience, like trying to figure out the best position to kind of be comfortable and paint this like for 30 minutes, 1 hour, who knows how long it's going to take you, right? I get it. It's fun. It's fun because it's like live drawing, plein air painting, all that stuff.
For
And
me,
it's
it's not
clean.
fun.
I don't have to bring on, to bring my, the paint kind of
Yeah.
little things with me, and water and the brushes, and
Also, the
it's a
glare
mess. But
from the
with
screen,
the
though.
iPad, it's really clean. It's really easy, simple. The things you didn't account for is like, oh, fuck, insects, fucking flies,
Yeah.
mosquitoes, and other things like noise, oh, I just bring my music with me. I'm fine. Sure. But there's always going to be a factor of distraction, That's what I found out in my opinion, right? How's that any different with a normal pen and paper kind of sketch pad, It's not really
Yeah.
different. It's the
So
same situation,
yeah,
but it's up to you, really. So if you think it's worth it and you've got the money to spend on that, go ahead, do it right away. I'm not advocating for it, neither against it. I'm just relating what was like for me, right? So with the Cintiq was exactly what I said, trying to figure out a way to place my keyboard and stuff like that. At the end of the day, it became like a weird thing to do, like to stay like this with my hand, my arm extended fully on my side, I've seen people kind of hanging the keyboard on top of the Cintiq somehow, which, Andrea, you were talking about like your arm, like your shoulder and stuff getting tired sometimes, or
yeah.
something like that. I don't know. It's really ergonomics in this
You guys
case is
ever,
something you have to figure out to see which one works better.
you guys ever experienced the carpal tunnel that people say? I
I
feel
don't
like I
know
never
exactly.
experienced the
I don't know
wrist
exactly
pain.
what it feels like. I do have
Yeah.
wrist pain, but not in the hand that I usually work with, not the one I draw with.
Mm.
It's on this other one, the one that's on the keyboard. And I've been trying to deal with it for quite a while now, and it's getting better. So you really have to stretch, guys.
That's like the biggest complaint I hear in the art community. I have carpal tunnel. I have wrist pain from drawing. And I don't know if it's because of the Cintiq. They're like pressing their wrist really hard against the screen, or like,
Well, they say you
I
shouldn't be
think it
I don't
has to
pressing
know.
too
do
hard.
with this like this movement here, right?
Okay.
And if you are used to painting more like with your kind of like elbow or shoulder,
Arm. Yeah.
I think that makes it easier, like and lighter on your drawings.
But in our case,
Like what
which
Adrian
is
is
in,
experiencing,
in our
it's
case is usually like more like smaller moves, quicker moves, wrist based. So
yeah.
it's more likely to have
Actually,
something
I
like that
actually
happen.
draw a
But
lot with my. I barely move my fingers when I'm drawing, even on the intuos. Like I know it's small, right? But I just make things like larger on the screen, and then I move my hand. Like they
it's
stay pretty much like on the same position all the time.
yeah, it just depends on how hard you're pressing, how hard you're holding the pen and pressing on the
Yeah,
tablet, which is why they recommend you to kind of reduce that pressure needed for the stroke. to be done, right?
Yeah.
You can go into the settings and figure that out, see which one is more comfortable for you. But yeah, eventually you have to make it more comfortable. That's the point. Because you're going to be here for quite a long time, sitting here all day long, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes most people look for this alternative, you know? Like, I need something to kind of move away from my computer, away from the screens. Bro, it's still a screen. You know, it's still a tablet. But now you're no longer sitting at your comfortable desk, your chair, your normal position and stuff. Well, you may have noticed that I'm standing right now. So it's been a long time that I invested into this standing desk, which I think is pretty cool. It's nice. It's kind of weird to get used to, but sometimes you just don't want to be sitting. You know, you start to feel your legs are like stiff, you know, and like you naturally need to take a break, sit up, walk around, come back, go drink some water, which is another thing. I saw you drinking as well, Andre. We have our water next to us, right? So it's something
I
that
have
if
like
you
a
want to
huge
take
bottle and
if
cup, right? So.
if you want to take more breaks, I suggest you force them upon you. So don't have things like your water next to you. Have it somewhere on the other side of the room. Your phone. You want to get rid of that addiction? Put it on in the other room or something. You know, make yourself kind of have to work to, you know, get to it. And that's how you take this little break from your posture, from sitting here for 1 hour already. 1 hour might not seem like a big deal to most people. But I can guarantee you 60 minutes
2 or 3
of you
hours.
sitting in the same position. Your eyes you're not even blinking. You're so focused. It's so easy to get carried away, guys, by this flow. You know, you're tapping into this creative power and you're like just feeling it. And it's like vibing with your designs and stuff. But your body does notice that pressure, that stress. And sooner or later, it will let you know. You don't want to get to that point. Prevent that from happening. Take some breaks. Just feel your body, you know? Because this is a very mental job, right? It's a very psychological kind of thing. It's your brain power.
And physical as well, because I guess you're not moving, so you're expending all that energy just sitting straight in one place. So you have to move around a lot.
Yeah.
Keep the legs moving. So you don't get blood clots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just move your body, you know, stretch a little bit, respect it.
The physical aspect, it's like, again, another thing that people don't realize when they're choosing because I didn't know that, like, we were talking about tools, right?
Yeah.
You did mention the iPad, and to be honest, I don't see, like, I got one when it released, like, I think the 2018 Pro, which was like apparently a big jump in terms of quality of what you could produce, right?
Bro, it's a great machine. The performance is insane, right?
But
the only thing I'm discussing is like the ergonomics, maybe. Where do I put this? Like maybe depending on the case you have for it,
but if
it can stay like on an angle.
But if you're used to sketching on Sketchbook, like it's pretty much the same thing. The difference, like you now have a very powerful Sketchbook, right? You now have
the only thing I use now if I want to paint is the phone. You know, you can just draw on heavy paint for a little bit, but that's like the extent that I'll go without, you know, like an iPad or something. I probably won't invest in one. So.
Yeah, I think if people want to try, like, give it a go, right? I'm not. I don't think we are in the business of saying people, don't try stuff. Just like temper your expectations, right?
I've recently got one of these things.
Hobbies.
This is like an LCD kind of tablet. You see?
Oh, nice.
You just take notes, make quick sketches, and then there's like a button to erase it. So I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera. There's like the little drawing, and now it's gone. So that's the thing, right? This is like, feels like analog in a way, because there's no way to save the drawing or anything unless you take a picture
like an
of
etchy
it.
sketch.
But yeah, it's just for quick notes, quick sketches, planning, whatever, whatever you need. It kind of satisfies that little itch, that you may have sometimes, like to sketch something real quick or something. But yeah, this is by
Do you guys
far
keep a
like a way cheap.
sketchbook?
Yeah, of course.
Not recently, but if
If
I
we keep the
do,
sketchbook, you said?
No,
or
keep
like
a sketchbook. Like if you have a sketchbook kind of like handy all the time, or
Oh,
if
or
it's
not
not
right
like
just
all
now.
the time, but
No, it's actually been quite a long time since I sketched on paper, like on
same.
real
If I
stuff.
do want
But
to sketch, sometimes I'll sketch on a post-it note. Make like a dozen rows of drawings that I want to do.
yeah,
Those are
because
fun.
to me, it's usually just to find out, some solutions to some problems, to concepts that I come up with for either Hivanurian or whatever. So I'm like, I need to
that. The
explain
reason
this.
why I'm asking is because like all of these tools that we're talking about, like most
Hmm.
of them, for the intent that people are using them for, could easily be replaced with like a regular pen and paper sketchbook.
Totally,
And
100%.
it's like first of all way cheaper, and then you realize that the expensive tools, they are just good if you know how to use them, and
Yeah,
it really makes you I think like value it more, maybe like the actual content of what you're making instead of like where you're making it into.
but the thing
Yeah.
is, that you kind of look for that convenience, right? Like, I want to have access to all these tools, like brushes, layers, and all that stuff. So you basically have the benefits of a computer in a very portable device, right? Which is as thin as an iPad or one of these Wacom companion or whatever they're called, these standalone machines, which is something that someone in the comments asked as well. I don't have experience with using any of those, but I've heard they get quite hot, and I don't know about their performance. They should be good if they're meant to replace a computer, but I think they come at like 2K resolution or something like that in a screen that's like this big. And a big resolution in a small screen, I don't think is a good thing. You can barely see the text. It's like little ants, right? And maybe that could strain your eyes a little bit over prolonged usage. But hey, if you're down to try it out, be my guest, up to you. That's what it looks like from the outside. But again, the iPad and the cintiq are the closest ones I can talk about. So that would be my contribution to this topic. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I think we covered most of it. It's just
yeah.
ergonomics and
As for the
how to use
posture,
it.
And yeah,
I mean, you guys should look up some videos on this because they're probably going to be even more detailed and stuff. But I remember researching what's the best optimal kind of height for your desk, the chair, the 90 degrees leg bending, the knee. It's like all these things are out there for you to find out, right? You just have to adapt it to your situation.
The tool doesn't
See
make
what
the artist.
see what works best. I mean, obviously don't slouch, don't force yourself in like uncomfortable positions or anything like that. And by all means, don't do the, laying like on your back with like on the edge of your chair and stuff like that, straining your lower back and stuff like that. Don't do that because you're going to feel the pain. You're probably 18, you're going to feel the pain and you're going to be like, I'm fine, next day I'm fine. But maybe when you're 30 or 40, that's no longer going to be the same. And it all adds up over time. Then comes the problems. Doctor said I have this condition. Doctor said I have this thing on my back. Everything builds up over time. So it's up to you to feed the right wolf, right?
Yeah,
So, like Dom said, the tool doesn't make the artist, is the other way around. So choose wisely, because I mean, whatever you choose, it's going to be your weapon in this battle. So it's going to
and
be
yeah,
totally
and
up to you.
try things, but try them with the mentality of should testing things, right? Not like, oh, if I don't feel comfortable, I should just like stuck with this until my back's broken because this is what X artists use. And if they are amazing, the only way for me to be amazing is to use the same thing.
Yeah.
Like if you want to try things out, like do that. It's really fun. And it can get you like some new motivation as well, which is something that I don't think we need to kind of like hide, right? Like getting new tools, it can inspire people.
It's exciting.
But it's kind of like getting a new sketchbook or going to like the store buying new pens, right? There's always going to be that. Even before digital existed, people already were asking artists like, oh, what actual brushes do you use? You know, what's the material of them? What kind of brand of paints do you use? And I think that's perfectly normal because people want to understand what the artists that they admire use as tools.
I think for the brushes thing, it's good to try out different brushes because sometimes your brushes can determine like your style of how you approach or like lay down the brush strokes in your art. So it all goes back to like the tablets, right? Choose whatever brush set that you want and just stick with it, and that'll be like how you approach your pieces over time. That's like your mark. So you can be the default round brush set, and that'll be like how you approach your style.
You're gonna get used to it and use it,
or Craig Mullins, you know,
in a unique way that only you know how to use it. I mean, actually, that's been my experience with someone else's brushes. You know, like you see this guy, you like so much the style of this guy, the way he paints, the way he sketches everything. So you get his brushes, you try them, and you realize
and you suck.
You don't like those brushes because they don't work. You don't know how to use them. He learned how to make them his brushes. That's why it works for him. He's been practicing with them for years. Those packs are very likely to be like the result of years of packing of information and learning and practicing, right? And by the way, just to clarify, I'm not saying any of this to discourage people from trying new devices or from investing into this tool that's your dream. If you have the means to get it, by all means, like do it, right? But my message is, if you have to kill yourself for something that you don't even know if you're gonna like or not, like $3,000 cintiq, right? For someone who doesn't even have a job in the first place, that's gonna be
for like a few months.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard, you know. Or like make sure you have the foundations to sustain this kind of stuff. But hey, if you ever get a chance, like that's another thing, right? You can try it out. You can go to an event, like maybe to the store, somewhere where you can try it. Maybe a friend of yours has one. You can go to his place and he lets you try it. But keep in mind, that's going to be a brief interaction with that device. What's it going to be like when you're going to have to do that every day with that same thing, with that same tool, right? How's that going to be? Sitting for 1 minute at the controls of a cintiq is definitely not going to be the same as like using it for 1 year straight, nonstop.
Yeah,
So,
and also like if you have limited amount of money to invest, think like, is it more worthwhile at this point in your life to invest in more like knowledge and training, or is it more worthwhile to invest in new tools, right?
yeah, foundations are always going to be the same.
Yeah, there are things that are
too much money on knowledge. You can always
remember what's the name of that guy that used to have the YouTube commercial, like, you know what's better than
Lopez or something?
Knowledge. Remember that meme?
Ty Lopez.
Yeah.
Here in my garage.
Yeah, here in my garage. Dude,
the books I read.
It was a bunch of like it was very comical and all that, but
the message
even
is
though
cool.
it was just a scam, the message was there.
The knowledge
Yeah.
part is actually legit, you know, even though it's a meme.
Exactly. Even though it's a meme. So yeah, I would 100% like. Again, we always talk about did you regret something or not. I don't think that I regretted buying the cintiq because I had to kind of like get it out of my system to try one. But
Which might be
I
the
would not
case
buy
of
a second one.
anyone in
You
the
know?
audience listening to me saying, don't buy a cintiq because this and that, you know. Maybe that's their case, the same as yours. Like, I had to try it, you know.
Yeah.
What did it
But don't
cost?
let it be an impulse
Everything.
buy. That's the thing
Oh
too.
yeah. I mean, if you have the money to do a $2,000 impulse buy, I mean, by
That's
all
what I'm
means, do it.
saying. That's
I
the
mean, you could
entire
try it
purpose.
and get it for a refund if it doesn't, fancy you
Yeah.
over time. But typically, it's better to research first, try things out, and then if you like it, keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
usually
don't
when
like it,
I commit to a purchase of that caliber, I usually do a lot of research, compare a lot of review videos, you know, hands-on unboxings and stuff like that to make sure, like, even not even the hardware things, but like people who react to the way it works, like, oh, it's not comfortable, you know what, compared to the previous model, this one is bigger and it's less comfortable, I don't like it as much. So you kind of make your idea whether you think it's gonna fit or not. I remember, dudes, I have this thing, right? I was measuring everything. I was checking the sizes and everything. So I was measuring here, like, how big is this gonna be? Wow. All right, this is. So I was like hovering my hand over here, like imagining this is the cintiq, and I'm like, holy
Yeah.
shit, this is gonna be a game changer, bro. I'm not even sure if I have enough space here to fit that, but I think it can work. So it's up to you, right? You do everything you can to make sure it's the right choice for you. So that's pretty much all
Yeah.
I have to say for now. But yeah,
Cool.
we hope you guys liked this episode. We hope
And let us know the tool that you use.
Yeah, let us know what do
in
you
the
paint
comments.
on. Now, everybody's gonna
Yeah,
say,
it will
"Oh,
be
I
cool
use a
to hear.
cintiq,
And also
I
a
use a
program
cintiq
if you'd
too.
like.
I use an iPad."
Yeah.
But yeah, we hope to have clarified some of your doubts and not have created more doubt. But if that's the
Pretty
case,
much.
please let us know as well, because we've been
Yeah.
pretty much all over the place. But we really wanted to discuss this topic. And yeah, we hope you found it useful.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Yep. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.